My name is Jacob Brown, and this is my presentation for Marketing 754 for the case analysis. I chose the National Geographic campaign, #YourShot. Some background is National Geographic as a company. It is a multimedia production company focusing on geography, history, nature, science, and culture. And it started in 1888 as a scholarly journey and then eventually transitioned to a magazine in 1910. And then shortly after the Disney acquisition of 21st Century Fox, who was a primary stakeholder in National Geographic, in 2017, it transitioned its focus to more film-based content, which was encouraged by Disney Plus, so they could feature that content on their Disney Plus subscription service. So in the lower right corner, you can see the Wild series, which is a personal favorite of mine. So on social media audit, you can kind of see all of the active platforms that they're on: X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest. It's got millions of followers. And that's the main National Geographic page itself on those active platforms. The campaign itself is in this top right corner. It's Nat Geo Your Shot. If I move me speaking over to here, you can see it's got over 10,000 posts with 6.5 million followers. And then you can see the example of some of the posts that are featured on that main page. So some of the campaign history, you can see it started as a magazine photo submission from subscribers where they would submit one photo a month in hopes to be featured in the magazine. And then in 2013, an online website community was established on the National Geographic YourShot website, where people created profiles and they posted and they had commenting with editor feedback. And the best photos from that online community was featured. And then in 2019, shortly after the Disney acquisition, it transitioned to Nat Geo Your Shot on Instagram, which was that page I showed on that last slide. So the goals and the reaction for the campaign, it was set up to establish a community of photographers with varying levels of experience. And so you had amateurs submitting and professionals alike submitting their photos to the YourShot page on Instagram in hopes to have this communication railway between amateur photographers and professional photographers on tips on how to be featured and all this stuff. And it was this thriving online community. In addition to that, you also had this creative flow of user-generated content with recognitions on set incentives on their main pages and on their website and in their magazine. And so it spurred all of these amateur photographers on to submit more and more photos in hopes to be recognized for their best work. And you can see the YourShot mission in words is to tell tell stories collaboratively through your best photography and expert curation. And so the campaign was a wild success even before Instagram. So prior to 2019, editors searched through over 5,000 images a day. And then after the Instagram switch, it transitioned to more like 10,000 images per day. And it was so popular that it actually led to National Geographic publishing a book called Getting Your Shot, which was an inspiration and how-to guide in how to make your photos better in order to be recognized better. And not only this, but also you had independent bloggers that were submitting these how-to guides to be how to featured in your shot. And so some of the metrics on the campaign. So the Nat Geo Your Shot page itself has over 6.5 million followers on Instagram, and the branded hashtag Your Shot Photographer, which is the official hashtag for the campaign, has over 12.5 million uses on Instagram. And it is one of the most popular branded hashtags on Instagram. So on the lower right corner, you can kind of see how it compares to some of the other companies. So like Let's Do Lunch from Domino's, Disney, Coke, Adidas, Calvin's. And then you've got Your Shot Photographer, which isn't quite as popular as Just Do It from Nike or Shot on iPhone from Apple, but you can see it is pretty close with 12.5 million uses. And even prior to the Instagram launch or the transition, it had over 10 million photo subscriptions or photo submissions from users. And then on top of that, you had participation from over 130 plus countries. So some of the strengths of the campaign, it was a campaign that was based on a pre-existing hobby. So in doing so, it required very little effort to join. It could be photos you took in your past, photos that you took today. It could be edited. It didn't need to be edited, but for the most part, you just found pictures and you submitted the pictures that you really liked to the campaign, which just is not a lot of work compared to a lot of some of these other campaigns. And so they did a great work with that. And not only that, but their editors did a great job on recognizing the best photos and photographers on a regular basis. So prior to the Instagram launch, they had the Daily Dozen, where the editors would search through the 12 best photos of the day and post that on a daily blog on their website. And then on Instagram, you've got uh, Photographer of the Month, in which case they featured a active member of the community. And then you've got Pictures of the Year, which is something they just started in 2023, where they take the best pictures and they put it in a compilation with some music in the background, and it's a very good and I encourage it. It's on their Instagram story on that Nat Geo YourShot. I encourage you to take a look because it's very well done. And then this YourShot campaign has actually encouraged other campaigns to follow it up. So YourShot paved the way for Photographer, which is a show on Disney Plus, which features some of the YourShot photographers that National Geographic actually hired based off of their experience inside of the YourShot campaign. And not only that, on that Picture of the Year 2023 that I mentioned on the last slide, there was auxiliary take pictures audio created, in which case users were encouraged to take their best pictures from 2023, put them in a compilation, and use this audio. And the Instagram page featured the best ones that they found. Some of the weaknesses for the campaign: Instagram is still the only active platform, and in which case they only feature still photos. There's no video compilations. And you can see that National Geographic does have a following on TikTok, over 9 million followers. So there is a market for, user generated content that is in video format. But as of right now, National Geographic only features still photos. And the scale of the success of the campaign kind of hinders the connectivity goals that were previously established. You can see a quote from Ingrid Dietrich, which was an active community member of the online website, and she was just upset that their photos, awards, history, and everything was completely removed in the transition to Instagram, which was a pretty common and shared thought. It was just because it was becoming so popular that the editors couldn't keep up with how many photo submissions there were. And then the branded hashtag is not the same as the actual campaign. So the hashtag YourShot has over 800,000 posts, in which case it's not being sifted through to be actually featured. Instead, it's YourShot Photographer, which seems a little misleading. The lessons I learned from this is National Geographic was able to create a endless stream of user-generated content from a shared hobby from millions of people all over the world, and in which case it didn't take a lot of time. And establishing an online community takes a lot of commitment. They had editors sifting through 10,000 photos a day, in which case it worked very, very well. However, the scale of it, kind of dialed back the success a bit. The campaign was so successful, it encouraged other follow-up campaigns and how-to guys. So always trying to figure out how you can make content off your content was very interesting to see. And then it always adapted to changing technology, from the magazine to the website online to Instagram. It stuck with the times, and it's inspiration to others just to see how to adapt to changing times. And so there are my references, and I thank you for listening.